right, welcome back after Christmas break. I hope everybody enjoyed their time away from school. Today we'll be getting back in the routine of things. So today for math class, we will be working with equivalent fractions. So what are equivalent fractions? Equivalent fractions are two fractions that have different denominators, but are still equal. So for example, 1/2 and 2/4 are equivalent fractions, even though they have different numbers of shaded parts and different numbers of equal parts. So with equivalent fractions, we are going to ask ourselves a few questions. Our first question here is, are the two squares the same size? By looking at these two squares, they are the same exact size. They might not be split into equal parts, but they are overall the same size. So are the two squares the same size? Yes. Yes, they are. So we can put yes. And if we could click and drag, you would be able to visually see that they're the same size. Question 2 is asking us, what fraction is shaded in square A? And this is square A up here, and this will be square B. So what fraction is shaded in square A? Well, we know that a fraction consists of a numerator and a denominator. We can start by filling out our denominator. We know the denominator is how many equal parts A is split into. A is split into 1, 2 equal parts, so 2 will be our denominator. And our numerator tells us how many of the equal parts are shaded yellow. So for square A, 1 of the 2 equal parts is shaded yellow. So the fraction for square A that is shaded is 1/2. Now we need to know what fraction is shaded in square B. Well, right away, I see that square B is split into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. So 4 will be our denominator. And how many of the equal parts are shaded yellow? 1, 2 of the 4 equal parts are shaded yellow. So our fraction for square B of shaded yellow is 2/4. I'm just going to put a little line here so you guys can better separate them. So the fraction shaded in square B is 2/4 because 2 of the 4 equal parts are shaded yellow. Now we're on to our last couple of questions. Are the unshaded parts in A and B the same size? So if we take a look, are the unshaded or the white spots, are they the same size? They are the same size. Half of the square is not shaded yellow in both A and B. So are the unshaded parts in A and B the same size? Yes. And then this is supposed to say shaded. Cross out un. And then our last question, are the shaded parts in A and B the same size? Once again, half of the square is shaded yellow in both A and B. So yes, both of the shaded parts are the same for A and B. So we can put yes for both of those. Knowing that both the shaded and the unshaded parts in A and B are the same size, we know that 1/2 is equal to or equivalent to 2/4. So yes, they are equal. And this will make more sense as we get into the next couple of practice problems here. But basically, the equivalent fractions are the same amount of each shape is shaded yellow. It doesn't matter how many equal parts they're broken into, because we can see here in A and B, both of them have half of the square shaded yellow. Even though B is split into 4 equal groups and A is split into 2 equal groups, they are both equivalent because half of the shape is shaded yellow in both A and B. Moving on here. There we go. We're going to look at the shaded parts in the figure below, and we are going to fill out the equivalent fraction. So the first fraction for shape, I'll label this A again, for shape A is 1/2. How did I get 1/2? Because 1 is telling us how many of the equal parts are shaded yellow. One of them is shaded yellow. And the 2, or our denominator, is telling us how many equal parts are in shape A. 1, 2 equal parts, so 2 would be our denominator. So what this is telling us is 1/2 of shape A is shaded yellow. Now we have shape B over here. Shape B, it's telling us that 4/8 of shape B is shaded yellow. How did I get 4/8? Well, we got the 8 because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts. And we got the 4 from 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 8 equal parts being shaded yellow. So knowing that 4 of the 8 equal parts are shaded yellow, your fraction would be 4/8. And knowing that, we also can determine that 1/2 is equal to 4/8. Because we can visually see that both of them have half of the rectangle or half of their shape shaded yellow. Option A had 1 of the 2 parts shaded yellow, and option B had 4 of the 8 equal parts shaded yellow. So 1/2 is equal to 4/8. Moving on to our next problem. We now have one of the fractions filled out for us, but we have to determine what the equivalent fraction is. So already over here for shape A, we have 3/4 of it shaded yellow because 3 of the 4 equal parts are shaded yellow to get 3/4. But what fraction is equivalent to 3/4? So we want to know what's going to go in this fraction box. And we can find that out by counting the equal parts in option B's rectangle, and then figuring out how many of the equal parts are shaded yellow. So first of all, how many equal parts are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts. So 8 will be our denominator. And then how many of the equal parts are shaded yellow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 8 equal parts are shaded yellow. So 6 would be our numerator. Now that we have that filled out, we know that 3/4 is equal to or equivalent to 6/8. All right, so you guys will have a couple of these to do on your own on Schoology. So what we'll do is we'll post that on Schoology for you to fill out and then submit on Schoology also. So you'll have a couple problems that look like this, where you find the fractions. And you'll also have one type of problem where you're going to have to do some clicking and dragging. So for these ones, you will shade 1/2, shade 2/4, shade 4/8. And once you get those all shaded in, there's 3 questions down here for you to answer. 1, are the unshaded parts the same size in each of the rectangle? 2, are the shaded parts in the rectangle the same size? And 3, is this statement true or false? Is 1/2 equal to 2/4 and 4/8? So you will be answering those 3 questions. So once you submit that on School, we will get that in the grade book for you guys and post it on Infinite Campus. And also, if you have any questions on this, please send Miss Fosberg or Mr. Jans an email and we will set up a Google Meet.